What's up everybody, Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of cool news stories to go over here, but first I want to give a huge thank you to Vincero Watches for sponsoring this video. So Vincero is a watch company and their mission is to create compelling luxury timepieces with impeccable craftsmanship to inspire as many people as possible to elevate their game and ultimately live their legacy. So they offer watches that stand out, with a higher quality look and feel similar to, watches that are like 10 times the price, while still being very affordable, these Vincero watches. And so I'm wearing the Chrono S here, and so it's got this blue face, and I really like that, and it's got, the brown Italian genuine leather that actually feels really good as well. They use 316 surgical grade stainless steel, a scratch resistant sapphire coated face, luminous hands for nighttime visibility, and it's also 5 ATM water resistant. So I've included a link below in the description so you can browse. They have, tons of different watch styles and colors and things like that, and be sure to use code MMM at checkout for 15% off your order. So the first news story this week here is Ferrari has revealed a new Ferrari. It's a one-of-a-kind, one-off Ferrari, and it's called the SP38. So it's road legal. It is an actual road drivable vehicle here, and so Ferrari says it's for one of their most dedicated customers who has a deep passion for racing. And so it looks really good. There's some F40 influences, and they apparently the customer wanted the headlights to be as thin as possible, so that's kind of how they got those very minimalistic headlights there. And it's based on the 48 GTB, but there weren't any details given as far as horsepower and things like that. So not sure about any details of it, but most likely it's just kind of like a rebodied 488, which is still plenty fast, still very cool. No price, of course, since the guy only commissioned one of them, and it's for himself, and they don't really discuss how much they paid usually. But anyway, it's going to be on display this Saturday at the Concorsico d'Eleganza Ville d'Est. I probably butchered that. I apologize, but that's in Lake Como, Italy. So those of you that are, lucky enough to be in a very nice, luxurious place like that, you can go check it out this weekend. For some more mundane news here, Elon Musk tweeted out a couple details about this new high-performance version of the Model 3 on Twitter here. And so the first is he announced that they're going to finally have the dual motor all-wheel drive version of the Model 3 finally available starting in July is when deliveries will start for those, and it's going to come in two different versions. They announced there's going to be a performance version and as well as a regular all-wheel drive version, so that's similar to what we get with other Teslas, of course. The performance version though gets 20-inch wheels, a carbon fiber spoiler, black and white interior, and it'll do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, and 155 mile/hour top speed, and also have 310 miles of range. So pretty impressive stuff there, but the price, this affordable Model 3 continues to get less and less affordable. This performance one does sit at the top of the range, so it's, basically fully loaded, although you still have to pay extra for autopilot, but they're going to be starting at $78,000 for this version of the Model 3. Still way cheaper than a performance version of the Model S, but still pretty pricey. And so Musk, he also claimed that it will have performance that will beat anything in its class on the track. Now, I'm not sure what he considers its class. If he's talking about other full EV small sedans like the Nissan Leaf and stuff, okay, sure, yeah, it'll probably be better on a track. But if he's actually comparing it with stuff like a BMW M3 and things like that, maybe the acceleration will be quicker, but around a track, when it's going to be pretty tough. I feel like it probably won't handle as well as actual performance sedans, and also there's heating issues with the batteries, and you have to recharge them. So trying to do a full track day on a battery charge might be challenging. So anyway, but Musk is usually a little bit bold with his statements at times, so not a huge surprise there. For that non-performance all-wheel drive version, if you don't need the extra speed, you can add the dual motors onto any Model 3 starting in July, and it's only $5,000 extra, which is the same as other Tesla vehicles. And so technically, I think right now it's like $55,000 for the large battery rear-wheel drive version of the Model 3, which is the only version currently available. So if that's $55,000, that means an all-wheel drive version will be $60,000. Still not super affordable. Eventually, there will be this small battery $35,000 one. I think that's coming next year, and that, if you got all-wheel drive, then that would theoretically be $40,000, which does put it in the realm of affordability. At $40,000 there. So anyway, cool to see all of that. I have some specs here for the all-wheel drive version without the performance pack. 0 to 60 is 4.5 seconds, still almost a second faster than the non-all-wheel drive version. Top speed is 140, yeah, it has the same range at 310 miles there. So anyway, the other thing that Elon also announced for Tesla was that there's going to be a new app feature within the Tesla app that you can actually request service, and they'll automatically arrange everything. You don't have to do any paperwork or anything. You just like tap, I need service, and they show up, take your car, do whatever, and you have to do nothing, which is a really appealing idea, and so we'll see how well that works. But anyway, cool to see that. Speaking of electric vehicles, though, there's a new report from Autocar this past week about Ford's upcoming EV that is currently, been rumored to be called the Mach 1, although there's also reports that that's just a test name to see how people respond to the idea. Hopefully they don't actually use that. But anyway, it's the Mustang styling influenced crossover four-door all-electric EV that was teased in Detroit back in January. Anyway, so we have a report here from Autocar that supposedly, so Jalopnik reached out to Ford, and supposedly Jalopnik's reporting that Ford says that there's some confusion in this Autocar report. So take all this with a grain of salt, but it doesn't mean that the entire thing's false, so I'm still gonna, talk about it here briefly. Anyway, it's codenamed the CX430, actually, internally. But anyway, the report's saying that it's gonna have like a lifted hatchback type of design, but with Mustang styling cues, is kind of the way that they, I guess, phrased it here. And they also said, interestingly, it could be front-wheel drive and based on a version of the Focus platform, like an EV version of that platform. So, it'd be an electric crossover that would probably look interesting, but will it actually be a actual performance vehicle? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Speaking of how long we're going to have to wait, the report also says that a global model is what this is going to be, and that it's going to be going on sale in the UK in 2020. I'm assuming we'll also get it around that same time here in the States. So we have less than 2 years before we find out all the details, hopefully, on it. But, yeah, hopefully it does have some type of performance aspect to it, or at least a trim that's performance-oriented. But, a lifted hatchback that's front-wheel drive that has Mustang styling sounds a little bit disastrous, but again, we'll keep an open mind until we see the actual final product. But anyway, interesting to hear that. And for some other Ford rumors, motoring.com.au there in Australia, they're reporting that Ford is supposedly working on a Fiesta RS finally. There's been Fiesta RSs rumored for years, but they never actually happened. But of course, since we're not getting the new Fiesta, this would not be coming to the States, sadly, so this is just for Europe and Australia, I'm guessing. Anyway, the reason why they're confident that an RS version of the Fiesta is happening is that they asked Ford Performance Europe's executive Leo Rooks about a Fiesta RS possibility, and supposedly he had a big smile and said, "I can't tell you, but I'm very busy." So if that's not a strong hint, I don't know what is. That sounds like he's basically saying yes without saying yes. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It could also be some type of just faster, like aftermarket, kind of like a Ford Performance kit. Mount Tune, they do some stuff, for the hot hatches and things like that. So it could be some type of package like that as well. It might not be an actual RS, but it sounds like some type of more performance to the Fiesta ST is coming at least, and that of course is only for Europe. So we're going back to the way things were with Ford, 10 years ago and prior, where we always heard about these cool hatchbacks overseas that we never got, and it sounds like we're going to be going back to that here in America, sadly. So anyway, interesting to hear that for those of you in Europe. For some good stuff here for America from Ford, though, there's actually some new improvements for the 2019 Ford Raptor. So for the 2019 model year here, the first is there's these new Fox shocks that are electronically controlled with what they're calling live valve technology that continuously adjusts damping in real time, and it allows it to make the most of the suspension travel while also maximizing comfort. So it's supposed to be, the best of both worlds, I think. It even has sensors that supposedly can tell when the truck is mid-air and will set the dampers to full stiffness to smooth out the shock performance as the truck lands to help protect against damage, so that you can have a good landing and not destroy your truck within reason. I'm sure there's only so much it can take before it would probably give out, but it should make it a lot more capable and durable, I suppose. And so other things here, there's a new trail control system that's like a cruise control for when you're off-roading. And so it works between 0 and 20 miles per hour and automatically adjusts power and braking so that you can just focus on steering. And so you just do the steering, and then it does its own thing with accelerating, braking each wheel, so you can climb things easier and go down steep hills and things like that with the truck doing it all on its own, and you just focus on steering and enjoying the ride. Which is pretty close. They actually did patent a fully autonomous off-roading system too a couple of months ago. I talked about in a previous weekly update. So this is probably like a halfway point. Next, maybe in a couple of years, they'll have it do the steering as well and make for an off-road autonomous mode or something like that. But anyway, some other things here for 2019. There's going to get new Recaro sports seats are going to be available, I guess, as an option with these Alcantara inserts that are blue and inspired by this GT supercar, they said. There's also some new colors. Ford Performance Blue, Velocity Blue, and Agate Black are going to be available there, and it's still available in the other colors, the red and things like that. There's also a new rear graphic you can see there, and there's also some new beadlock capable wheels to again increase the new look here of the 2019 version. So these are going to be available late this year, but they didn't announce any pricing yet, as far as any changes to the 2019 Raptors. But anyway, cool to see that. Some really cool improvements there. Kia has also revealed a little refresh here for the European version of the 2019 Sportage, and we'll probably get most of these same changes here in the States as well. But one of the things that I talked about actually in last week's weekly update is the 48-volt ultra mild hybrid system that Kia is introducing here on this new Sportage, and so it's basically helping with extended coasting and stop and go type of situations. That's going to be paired with a 2-liter diesel over there in Europe. Europeans will also get a new 1.7-liter diesel as an option that's going to replace the old 1.6-liter. Inside there's a new steering wheel, gauges, upholstery, and you can either get a 7-inch infotainment screen or now a new frameless 8-inch screen is available too. It's going to be also available with Kia's smart cruise control with stop and go functionality, an around view monitor, and a driver attention monitor as well. And so those are going to be arriving in Europe later this summer. And I'm guessing we'll see the US version of this refresh here, sometime this summer as well. So cool to see that. Mercedes has a couple of announcements in regards to the E-Class for 2019 here. The first is that the E53 trim that we've already seen in the E-Coupe and convertible, that's going to be available now for the sedan as well. That's no surprise. I don't know why they didn't announce them all at the same time. But, so it's all the same stuff. The same 3-liter turbo inline-6 engine and the same 48-volt mild hybrid system for a total of 429 horsepower, 384 pound-feet of torque. It also has the same 4.4 second 0 to 60 time as you get in the convertible, and it is 0.1 seconds slower than the coupe. That's the fastest one at 4.3 seconds. And so those are going to be available late this year, but pricing hasn't been announced yet for those. Other E-Class news, though, is they've also announced a new E450 trim to replace the E400 trim, and this applies to the entire range, so that includes sedan, coupe, cabriolet, and wagon. That thankfully we do continue to get the wagon here in the States, which is cool. Same turbo V6 engine in that one as before, but has now 362 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque, which is 33 more horsepower and 15 more pound-feet of torque than before, which is, I guess, how they justify the numerical jump from E400 to E450, I suppose. They all get the 4MATIC all-wheel drive system, and they also get some more safety tech from the S-Class, some of the more advanced features. You also get a new steering wheel inside. There's new wheels, new trim options, but Mercedes didn't give us pictures of any of that stuff, so we'll have to use our imagination in the meantime. But there's no pricing set for these either, but we do know these ones will actually be available in the fall, so cool to see that. And we have some new spy shots this past week, thanks to my spy photographer Brian Williams, who has a couple different sets of photos here. The first is the clearest look yet at the new 2019 BMW 3 Series, and so it's a little less camo than we've seen before, and it looks like the headlights and taillights are now full production versions, especially the taillights. Those in the previous photos we've seen in the past were a little bit more of a dummy unit. These ones you can see like a new bar running through the middle of the taillights there. That actually looks pretty cool and gives a little more extra dimension than the typically flat taillights you got on most 3 Series in the past, and so I really like that. Again, we'll have to wait till the camo gets peeled away to have full judgment on that, but overall looks pretty cool there. Same goes for the headlights and the larger grille there. That all, probably going to be similar to the 5 Series, just shrunken down a little bit. But anyway, it looks pretty cool there. And so anyway, that's rumored to be revealed at the Paris Motor Show in October is when we're finally going to see that, supposedly. So cool to see that. Next set of spy photos here is Mazda was spied actually at the EPA facility in Michigan with a diesel Mazda 6 that I'm guessing was undergoing testing, for certification for the emissions and all that type of stuff. And so Mazda has promised in the past that we were going to be getting some type of a diesel Mazda 6, but that was, I think, back in like 2014, and it's now 2018. We still have no diesel Mazda 6 here in the States, and so I think it was just trying to get it clean enough to actually, certify it and pass with these stricter diesel regulations, but they're still committed to bringing it, which is very respectable of them with more and more people giving up on diesels. And so anyway, the diesel that I'm assuming we'll be getting is the 2.2 liter turbo diesel 4-cylinder. It has 173 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque in Europe, which makes it really, pretty strong and torquey motor there. We'll have to see, if we get the same output whenever we do finally get it here, and, all the details on that whenever they do go on sale, whenever that is. But anyway, interesting to see them at least working towards that. And lastly, the Cadillac XT6 was spied testing again. This is the second time we've seen it now. It still has the very, very unfinished headlights and taillights that are just, dummy units again to hide the final ones. But this is a 3-row crossover that's going to be, supposed to fit in between the XT5 and the Escalade. That'll be based on the Chevy Traverse platform. Although looks like it might be a little smaller than a Traverse, but that might just be because of the pictures and the angles. But it looks a little smaller than one of those. But anyway, you can see still from like the outline of the taillights that it's going to have most likely vertical tail lamps like any other Cadillac, which is good. They're keeping that signature trait. Headlights is still really hard to see because, a lot of current Cadillacs have more of a vertical arrangement for headlights, and this looks like it's more of a horizontal type of setup. But again, we'll have to see, what the final design ends up looking like. It also has this weird, like, ZR1 style hood bulge, which I'm guessing is just a joke among engineers or something to throw people off whenever these are spied. Because I'm pretty sure it's not going to have any kind of racy hood like that unless this is some very early V mule or something for a V version of one of these or something like that. I don't know. But most likely just either it's that or it's there for testing equipment or something, because that hood definitely does not look like it's going to be like that for production. I highly, highly doubt that. But anyway, still cool to see that spied. But that's it for all the news this week, guys. So I apologize. These videos have been a little bit shorter. There hasn't been quite as much news here over the summer, but still some very interesting stuff. And let me know your thoughts about everything in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Take care.